Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. Always a joy to remind you that the most important thing in life is the presence you have at the very center of your being. That inner presence, that God spark, is so very, very important. May you keep that energy at the forefront of your life today and allow it to be your guide. I also hope that you enjoyed our newspaper ad. It's a very interesting ad, and hopefully it speaks to you in such a way that we might promote a greater peace and love within the world. Also, for those of you who are able, I'd like to invite you to join us for our Thursday night A Course in Mastering Alchemy class beginning October 2nd. It's a wonderful course, kind of a required course if we're going to really grow not only mentally, emotionally, but also physically. And I think you'd find it to be quite enjoyable. Again, it'll be this Thursday evening from 7 to 8:30, A Course in Mastering Alchemy. Let's begin. My dear friends, so many of you responded so positively to last week's teaching on being a host of the Holy Spirit rather than a hostage of the ego. And as many of you said to me, we need these constant reminders of the good that is possible for us, as well as letting go of those lesser energies. Today, we will treat the central theme of A Course in Miracles. The central theme is teach only love, for that is what you are. So powerful, so uplifting, so loving, so true. Teach only love, for that is what you are. To teach this central message from the Course, I will first acknowledge the principle from which it comes, then advance and address the very important context in which it is presented in the Course, and then, of course, conclude with practical applications. Again, I think it'll be helpful to take some notes because what appears quite simple to state is often complex to truly understand and absorb. Teach only love, for that is what you are. There is so much depth to it. So let's begin with the principle. In the introduction to Review 5, in the section of the workbook on the Course in Miracles, in the introduction in section 5 of the workbook of the Course in Miracles, is the principle that is stated very succinctly and clearly. God is but love, so therefore, so am I. God is but love, so therefore, so am I. I'll say it one more time. God is but love, and therefore, so am I. We must learn to accept this principle, namely that there is one foundational energy. There is one foundational energy that operates in the universe. And most of all, there is one foundational energy that operates in us. And that operational principle is love. It is likewise important to know who the you is in the love of God. The you, that is the love of God, is your soul, not simply your personality self. And you must recognize that your soul, the inner you, is free to accept this principle directly from the source, or it can go off in its own creations into lesser energies. So in the Course, we will focus on your soul, freely and happily choosing love as your spiritual path. The teaching that God is love has so much support. Just to cite a few examples, in 1 John, where it says that God is love, and the person that abides in love abides in God, and God in that person. Very clear statement. And then, of course, Jesus in Matthew 22, when Jesus says that all of the laws and all of the prophets boil down to two commandments. The first one is that you would love God with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then secondly, of course, you know it, you would love your neighbor as yourself. Now, just as an aside, have you ever done these two things? Have you ever loved God with your whole heart, mind, soul, and strength for more than just a few moments because things were really working out well for you? Or have you loved your neighbor as yourself beyond simply your family members? These are good questions to ask yourself concerning the nature of your love. They call to mind the saying that it is not that Christianity has been tried and has been found to be wanting, but rather that Christianity has never really been tried. For many Christians, that's really the case. It really hasn't been tried. I believe this to be a very accurate statement, but not just for Christians, for so-called believers in other faiths as well. You and I are working to change this criticism. We are genuinely working on being the love of God in human form. That's pretty much our bottom line. A genuine, loving relationship with our source that extends to everyone else, all of our neighbors. We are becoming the real new species of loving presence that Eckhart Tolle talked about in his book, The New Earth. And we understand that this loving presence is the future of humanity to which we are now dedicated to develop. Understanding ourselves, being this expression in the process of doing so. Okay, let's get back to the Course, and especially to understand the context in which the teaching of Jesus, teach only love, or that is what you are, was raised. But again, always remembering the principle. God is but love, and therefore so am I. It was precisely this principle that Jesus had to apply at his crucifixion, which is the context of his teaching. The reference is chapter 6, the lessons of love, section 1, the message of the crucifixion, the entire section, pages 91 through 96. Chapter 6, section 1, the entire section. So what is it that Jesus remembered at the crucifixion? It's a pretty good question. What is it that he remembered? So let me first of all quote the text itself. This is what Jesus remembered that has the teaching for us, obviously. Here are his words. The message the crucifixion was intended to teach was that it is not necessary to perceive any form of assault in persecution because you cannot be persecuted. I'll say it again. The message the crucifixion was intended to teach was that it is not necessary to perceive any form of assault. And of course, he was being crucified in persecution because you cannot be persecuted. One more time. The message the crucifixion was intended to teach was that it is not necessary to perceive any form of assault in persecution, because you cannot be persecuted. The obvious question is, well, who is the you that cannot be persecuted? Again, the you that cannot be assaulted or persecuted is your conscious eternal soul. Jesus clearly understood that the body can be assaulted and destroyed. That you are not your body, or anything that can be destroyed is not you. And anything that can be destroyed does not justify anger against anyone. Oh my, oh my. What remembrances, what a recall that Jesus was able to bring to his crucifixion experience. But do you not see that this remembrance really goes back to the principle? God is but love, and therefore, so am I. This is the lesson we need to learn. We need to develop a thought system. We need to develop a thought system of loving presence, and we need to live it, and of course, we need to teach it. I believe this is clearly what we are doing. We have accepted the thought system. We have accepted the thought system that God is but love, and therefore, so am I. Have we not? And we are now living this thought system, and I believe we are now teaching it, which is exactly what Jesus lived and taught, that God is love. Well, therefore, so are we. And that we are this loving presence as well. It is a thought system that must be accepted in principle. You have to accept the principle. These are the two things that Jesus knew. Number one, he knew that he was an immortal soul. He knew that his true identity was his soul identity, that he was invincible and could not be persecuted regardless of what was happening to his body. And then secondly, he did not angrily respond to his persecutors, because if he did so, he knew that he would be equating himself with the destruction of the body and become angry at his persecutors. Instead, he was able not to take these things personally and was able to maintain an energetic unity even with his persecutors, uttering those memorable words, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Wow, wow, such powerful, powerful words. As the last contextual note, Jesus said that he was giving us an extreme example in his crucifixion. Indeed, it was an extreme example, but the implication is clear. The concept was based on the principle. The concept was based on the principle that God is love, and therefore, so am I. This is the principle that Jesus taught us in the Course. Teach only love, for that is what you are. Thus, the question for us is, well, is that true? Is that true? is love what we are. And again, is love what we are at the soul level. This is what we must explore before we can begin to understand more clearly who we are at the personality level. So how do we do this? How do we explore this love at the center of our soul? Let me suggest the following steps. First, the first thing is to be able to access your soul level. This is what most people have a very difficult time doing. They just have a difficult time to be quiet, to access their soul level. You have to move beyond the chatty mind and focus on that inner you, your soul. And then, once you do that, once you take the time to go within, you have to ask yourself the question, is love what I truly am? This is a pretty adult question. Is love who I truly am? Am I happiest? Do I feel most intelligent? Do I feel most me when I feel and act from that loving center? Am I most me when I am in this loving energy? I know that you will experience this loving presence in your core self because, well, God is love. And therefore, so are you. It's pretty much that simple. You are in the image and likeness of God who is love. And so are you. Of course, it's easy to allow things to get in the way. But if you are sincere, as you are sincere, you will find that loving energy of the God Spirit at the very center of your soul. Because, well, that's the way you've been created. It's not rocket science, but you have to be quiet and explore yourself. The second step is a very important one. In taking it, we can use a teaching that is used in the 12-step recovery programs from addiction. The teaching is that when a person is recovering from an addiction, and in our case, all of us are recovering from the addiction to the ego, that they must be aware not to revisit people, places, and things that led to their addiction. Many of you know that principle. Don't go back to the people, places, and things that caused the addiction. This is good advice, solid advice. So let's see how it will work for us who want to teach only love, for that is what we are. First, let's address the people, not necessarily to avoid reverting to the ego, but to the people that we need to find. So I'm going to suggest we need to find two such people. The first one is to find a teacher who can explain things to you and answer your questions about your spiritual path. It's so important for you to know what you're doing in life and why you are doing the things you're doing. Your teacher will immediately help you in this regard. And in addition to explaining things to you, your teacher often will provide an inspirational presence at this very important time. And You'll then be able to ask this teacher about future questions as you progress. I am such a teacher, and I would be honored to assist you if you so choose. But let's be crystal clear. It is you who must make the spiritual change. And remember that threefold test of spiritual truths. Does it make logical sense? Does it feel right? And does it work every time? So that when a teacher suggests something to you, don't do it simply because the teacher suggested it, but because, well, you know that it is true for you. The second people to address is to find a spiritual community of like-minded souls who support and encourage your spiritual path. Many of you are finding this, and I'm happy to say that many of you are finding this in the spiritual community we have in Now Creations. You don't have to do anything except to show up. Show up with a willingness to add your presence to the group. You know the importance of such a group, and it leads to the second step of people, places, and things. Secondly, we have to be in the right place. And there are two places that are of such importance. Again, listen attentively. The first place is always the more important one, and that is that you are willing to do your 7 daily spiritual practices. You know the 7th we recommend in Now Creations. Now again, listen carefully. If you do not do the 7 spiritual practices, you will feel out of place. If you don't do the practices, you'll feel out of place in your daily living. Your 7 daily spiritual practices must hold first place. Must hold first place in your life if you would want to advance in the way of love. This is where many people hold back, which I will address in just a moment. The second place to show up is to participate in one or more of our several study groups in Now Creations. I have a simple question for you. Are you tired? Are you tired of simply trying to grow spiritually on your own? It's a good question. How many more blind alleys and cul-de-sacs of trying to do it your way do you have to come to? It's so important to join with a good teacher and willing participants in the spiritual journey of experiencing love at your center. In Now Creations, we have 2 wonderful book studies beginning. As I mentioned in the opening, this Thursday, A Course in Mastering Alchemy, October 2nd, 7 to 8:30. And in November the 4th, we'll be doing Rudolf Steiner's insightful book, Theosophy, on Tuesday afternoon, as well as Tuesday evening. You've received information about those workshops, those book studies, and you'll receive further notice as we progress. Now, let's be clear. Are you ready? Are you sincere about your intention to experience love at the center of your life? Whew, that's a big question. Are you ready to experience love at the center of your life and not just pretending again? Pretending that you're spiritual, but not really doing a whole lot about it. Is it your priority or is it not? as it is, you will proceed. You will proceed and move beautifully. If not, you will find a lame excuse, such as, well, geez, I have another meeting at that time. You have to be honest. Are you ready to advance in the number one priority of your life? Which leads us to the third aspect of people, places, and things. Things. For so many people, they allow things, all of us, we allow things to get in the way of our spiritual progress. Last week, I gave you 5 hostage takers of the ego that will pretty much, in a sense, get in your way of advancing spiritually. Everything from, I'll do it in a couple of weeks, or, geez, I have an exercise class I need to get to. Lame excuses. Lame excuses. Jim Self has given us a terrific phrase when he says that people argue for their limitations. People keep themselves limited, wanting to be right rather than to improve. How true this is. But one of our members gave us an even better phrase. She said that people embalm their limitations. That's a great phrase. People want to embalm their own ways, filling them with spiritual formaldehyde to preserve them at all cost. Is this still you, afraid to move, afraid to maybe commit to something that could refresh you and lead you forward? And you do have to ask yourself, what are you holding back? You know, you're a smart Tootsie. You're a smart adult. Why would you not now come to know the truth of who you are? Is it not just time to break free and to experience this great force of love at the very center of your being? Why wait any longer to be that loving presence? It's what you most want to be. Why would you wait any longer? Let's now address the third step of moving into your loving center. As you become more loving, you will notice something a little different within you. Here's what I think you'll notice. You will stop running everything through your mind, through your head. What do I think about this? What do I think about that? And start listening to the promptings, the intuitions, the nudges of your heart. As you begin to articulate the love at your heart center, you'll begin to feel differently. You will eventually come to the conclusion that your heart truly has reasons that your mind knows not of. You would begin to feel a oneness with everyone. You'll begin to feel a life of loving service, loving to love. Wouldn't that be the epitome? Loving to love. You will raise all things that you used to do and still do into higher experiences at a much more joyful level. And you begin to feel that, well, geez, maybe you're a participant in a larger, more universal energy of love. And you begin to feel, to know that you are in the vanguard of a new species that is arising on the planet. You will become a living Christ. you will become a living Christ. You will become a living Christ. You will feel that you really are what God is doing. Well, because God is love. And the person that abides in love abides in God. And God in that person, which is you. You will love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and you will. You'll love your neighbor as yourself. Finally, in conclusion, I know that you've enjoyed this uplifting teaching of Jesus. Teach only love, for that is what you are. What else is there to say? Except maybe to restate the principle. God is but love. And therefore, so am I. So let me take you into meditation. Again, what a joy it is to do so. So right now, you have the opportunity of going within and quieting yourself. Would you do that right now? Just focus on your breathing and quiet yourself. Your body is settled. Your mind is quieted. You are now in the inner you, your soul. And would you just say to yourself, here I am, here I am, here I am. This is me. This is me. This is the me that's in charge of me. This is my soul. This is me. Would you say it again? This is me. Now, don't drift and reestablish yourself. This is me. This is me, my soul, my in charge energy. So, what do you think? What do you feel? Right at this point, here's what many people do. They go right up to their minds and want to control things outside of themselves. Just what many people do. They go right up to their mind. They want to control things outside of themselves. Whereas you are advised to stay in your soul and just ask yourself the question, is this loving presence at the center of my being? Is this what I most am? We have no problem describing that God is love. But to feel that you are that loving presence that has not left your source. Just takes time. You can't be a busybody all the time and stay centered. Then just people get lost again in Well, I got things to do. I got this to do and that to do. You become a busybody again. You become a busy body rather than a loving soul. So we have these two great teachings from the Course. God is but love, therefore, so am I. That's the truth. And then that incredible teaching of Jesus, teach only love, for that is what you are. And I encourage you to read the context of that statement, pages 91 through 96 in A Course in Miracles, the text. You have to see it, how it played out in his life. And what an incredible inspiration that has served for so many of us. Well, okay, we got the message. We got the message. And as that message now resonates within us, we're absorbed it within to ourselves. Just, allow it to put kind of a bounce into your step today, a sparkle in your eyes, emanating from that joy in your heart. Hey, today is the day that you will just love everyone all day long, everything, situations. They'll know it, they'll feel it. But most of all, you'll know it and you'll feel it. There's your way forward every day. So in that energy, let me invite you back to your breath. Oh boy, happy, ready, willing, joyfully being that love of God in human form. And as you do so, to gently breathe your eyes open. Allow that energy just to be your day today. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. For I am an eternal being of light and love. Thus, only good can come to me, and only good can come from me. And we are eternal beings of light and love. Thus, only good can come to us, and only good can come from us. Namaste.
Thank you.